The one is right type of measure. The first is called right type of measure, right measure. The second is called wrong measure. The third is called imaginative measure. Imaginative measure. The fourth is absence of measure or non-application. Non-application of measure. And the fifth is impression of measure. In these 5 ways, the mind and the senses apply to the environment. They will not be difficult after a few steps. It's not difficult. I will explain what it is. First of all, understand that the mind and the senses apply to the environment in 5 ways according to this. First is what is called measure. The mind reacts to the environment using the environment as a measure to know things. Suppose we go to the market, we want some cereals. He will measure them and give us. You take a scale and you will measure the length of the cloth and then cut it. Just as we use the measures and the weights, the mind and the senses receive everything by measure. For example, how do you know that the ceiling is existing? By the difference of color. There is what we call white, and there is something else, what we call the line. In the line, there is darkness. Here there is light. Then our eye knows that there is a line, there is a ceiling, and there are squares. Here we are using the shadow and the light as measures. Here we are using the difference in color as the measure to know that this is different. Like that, there are measures. The measures are again of some different types, we will understand. So we use the measure, we understand the thing. That is the first process. If we use it in a right way, we call it the right measure. How? I say, hello, Rudolph. How can I know? I see, my eye helps me to know that you are Rudolph. Sometimes when you speak, I say, Rudolph has come. My ear helps me to know that you are there. So, this is called the right type of use of the measure. We use the measure in a right way. That is the first step. Sometimes we think always we are using it correctly. Though while we are living, we go out and we understand that we have to go this way. After 4 or 5 days, automatically the eye helps us. We need not think that we have to go this way and then turn this way. First day we have to understand. The mind works. Second day the eye helps the mind and we walk just automatically. Like that, we are applying the right measure and going in the right direction. Suppose you make me close my eyes and then you say straight, there is the door, you walk. Then I walk. Then I take the direction. See how blind people go to the market with a stick. They touch and they understand there is the street. And then in the mind they have the memory of the street. They apply things, with the help of one sense, they can supplement the other senses also. Like that we use. That is called the right measure, right application of measure. That is one type of reaction to the environment. The second step is wrong use of the measure. You see? Now let us know how we use it wrongly. We don't want to use it wrongly, but we use it. I say, this is my friend. Is it friend or person? What is there in him? There is a person, the same tissues, the same atoms, etheric body and other vehicles, but you don't find something like friend in him. Understand? I say, this is my enemy. I try to have the measure wrongly interpreted. You see, whenever I see you, I say, here is my friend. But in fact, you are not friend, you are at Red Owl. Okay? I say, this is my enemy. He is not enemy, but he is Mr. So-and-so. But we use, for a person, we use the term friend and enemy. Like that, we use father, mother, son, brother, sister, wife, children. All these things are superimpositions. You see, we create a creation, a picture, an image, and we superimpose it upon the measure. Is it clear? No. No? If I say, this is my towel, it is true it is a towel, but if I say this is my towel, it is superimposition. Like that, we use the measure. It is impossible to live without making a wrong use of the measure. We take some milk, we take some sugar, mix it. We call it milk. It's not true. Milk and sugar, we call it milk. We add some coffee to the water. We say this is coffee. This is coffee is not true. This is coffee, water and tumbler, glass. Three are there, but we say this is coffee. So more than 50% of our perceptions are wrong using of measure. That is why I mentioned in the previous lecture, it takes more than one lecture for each of these things to explain. You have mentioned. It is not possible to give them in the public lecture. If some people sit down and explain, then it is possible. Beyond that, it is not possible. It should be a lesson and not a lecture. That's why I mentioned it takes a long time. So, in short, first of all, we will clear them, and then further we can make an approach. We make a right measure, we make a wrong measure. This is the second part of the reactive activity of the mind and senses. And the third one, the third one is called imaginative measure. That is, we see something and then we supplement some more things. Imaginative measure. That is, I come to Geneva for the first time. I find people having overcoats and shoes and all that. I do not understand the reason, because I am new to the place. Generally, in India, very rich people use these things: an overcoat, socks and shoes. But here, because it is cold, you use it. But when I see you, I come to the conclusion that all of you are very rich. This is called imaginative measure. I will imagine and make use of measure in my own way. It is not exactly wrong measure, but imagine a wrong conclusion with the measure.
This is also a little wrong.
The effect is, the result is wrong, but here the application process is wrong. That's the difference. So this is called imaginative measure. That is the third activity of the mind and senses. And the next, fourth activity is non-application of the measure. I go on applying mind and senses, and for some time I stop applying them. Then what I do? Suppose for 15 minutes you stop applying. What will you do? Suppose I don't do anything. Does the mind keep quiet?
No.
Therefore, it's not possible for a non-application or absence of measure. But nature has made it possible so that the machine may not break due to continuous use. That is what we call sleep. So, the fourth item is sleep. Because nature does not allow us to go on applying continuously, because it will break. So nature makes a sudden non-application for some time, and then it begins to allow you to apply. Then understand, we are not sleeping, but the mind and the senses are sleeping. What we call sleep is sleep to the mind and the senses. If the real I am is sleeping, what happens is we cannot awaken once again. So the moment a man is dead, he should be thrown into the truck and taken to the cemetery to bury for a long. It's not possible, because when we are sleeping, our lungs are breathing, our heart is beating, our blood is circulating, our digestion is going on. So the real I am, who is having all these functions, is not sleeping. What happens if the lungs sleep and the heart sleep? We cannot awaken. So this is only a switch off of the particular room, not the cutting off the current in the house, but taking out the light, switching off a light in a particular room, which we call the mind and the senses activity. That is what we call sleep. But because we know only this much about ourselves, suppose you have given me that room, I stay in that room for 10 years without coming outside. I have an idea that the house is only that room. Similarly, we know ourselves only as mind and senses. That is why when the mind and senses sleep, we think we slept. So This is the absence of measure. It is automatically done by nature because we don't do. We have many important things to work. We don't sleep. But nature makes it cut off. And then there is a non-application. This is what is called sleep. The fifth activity is the impression of a measure. That is, if you make something press upon plaster and take it away, the plaster retains the picture, form. And in time, we will use this form to galvanize the mind and senses without the original. That is what is called recollection and memory. You see, I go to India and then if I think of Rudolph, he is there in my mind. I can hear your voice. Where? Upon the plaster layer of mind, it is tape recorded upon a tape in my mind. And I can hear Rudolph speaking and smiling and saying ho, etc. The sound will be heard in the mind. The face will be seen in the mind. And I can imagine that I am going here, coming here. So I can talk to my friends saying, while I was in the house of Rudolph, I can say some things. Then I will be seeing the pictures. So all these three activities can be used here also, except the sleep. We cannot recollect sleep because we don't know what is sleep. The moment sleep comes, we are not there, mind is not there. So only after awakening, we can understand that we have slept in the past. No one knows what sleep is, because when the sleep comes, the mind sleeps and he cannot know. When he awakens, he can know only that he has slept. So this is not known by anyone, except when he is awakened in the real self. Then he will know what his sleep is, because he can see his mind and senses sleeping. When the yogic activity starts, when you are awakened in the right self, that is the transmitting pole, then you will find your receiving pole, negative pole, the apparatus sleeping. Just as you see another man sleeping, you can see yourself also, the lower man sleeping. Now, ordinarily, it is not known. So, we know only these three activities, and the representation of the three activities through memory, that is impression of measure. These are the 5 types of reaction of the mind and the senses. And these can be used correctly when you are a master of the apparatus. But when they use you, it is only a wrong usage, and when you are able to use them correctly, they are simple and comfortable. When you are not able to use them really and comfortably, it is the discomfort and complicated. Because when you go away, you think and think, my husband is in Geneva, I am in Paris. Depression. That is the wrong application, difficult. Because we are wrongly applying the last item. When the wife wrongly applies the 5th item, that is, my husband is in Paris, I am in Geneva. When you say eat, she can't eat, because my husband is in Paris. But eating has nothing to do with the husband staying at Paris and the lady staying here. She calls it love. But love has nothing to do with this. So it's a wrong application and a confusion and total failment of the whole thing. The more we get familiar with these things, the more we know the mechanism and the working of these parts of the machine. And then by following the process of yoga, we get at the mastery over the whole mechanism. And we will be a technician who can use the whole machine properly. So when rightly applied, it is comfort and the process is called simple. When wrongly applied, it is difficult and the process is called complicated. Now, this is clear? Or anything more?
Yes.
Of course, concise, because this is an introduction of the all parts of the plant.
Yeah.
Suppose we go to a big electrical plant or big a soap factory or something like that. She takes you to each section and explains. Now this is the big wheel. Under this wheel there are 7 wheels and there are crank wheels. They run like this. You should not put your finger like that. He will be explaining somewhere. And then he takes you to the chimney. He says, this is the chimney. The whole thing comes here. Like that he explains. So first of all, we should have a comprehensive idea of all the parts and how the total works. Because all these days we are understanding the total machine as Mr. Rudolph, Mr. John, Gates, etc. Not as the whole machine. We are taking things as total. And we are dealing with them wrongly. We are putting a finger in a wrong place and it is burnt, and like that we are living. So can I wipe off? Because when I wipe off, if you want, you have to use this. Though these reactions are of 5 types, the main item in these 5 is what we call measure. Okay, we are making application of the measure, how to use the measure. So now the next thing Patanjali gives is an understanding of our relationship with the measure and how many types of measures are there. If we go to a market, there are measures, some measures for cereals, some measures for milk, and some weights for some things like that. So there are 3 or 4 types of measures in the market. Here also there are some types of measures. What about? Measure. Generally we call these measures, use them like symbols. What we call symbol is nothing but a measure. Naturally there are some symbols, those things we call measures. But when we create our own symbols, we can't call them measures, we have to call them symbols only. Now, there are 3 types of measures which we are using in the world. The measures are of 3 types. The first is direct measure. That is direct application of the given measure. That is, these measures will be in the form of what we call shape, color, etc. It is first we do direct application. That is, if light reflects upon the object and comes to the eye, we call it red, and we call it round, because the eye is in direct exposure of the object, the shape. So the shape is a measure here, and it is direct that there is some incense burning. That is a direct application when it is coming to the exposure of the nose. So the five senses, when they are, one of the senses are directly exposed to the object. See, there are five senses. Any one of the sense may be directly exposed to the object. And when the mind makes it a measure and understands the existence of the thing, it is called direct measure. Seeing and knowing that there is a light here, while coming here, seeing that there is a table here, I walk like this. Because it is having a direct measure on my eye, instead of walking like this, I walk like this, because I know the table by the direct measure. But suppose it is darkness, I hit at it, and then I know there is a table and walk. Here the direct measure is touching. When there is light, the direct measure is light, shape. So the eye is the direct measure. Here the touch is the direct measure. Like that, any one of the five senses we are making use. I see you as through a direct measuring. I hear you through the direct measuring. If I taste and say the apple is good, it is a direct measure. So we make use of any one of the five senses, and with that the mind directly knows the existence of the thing. It is called direct measure, first one. The second is called deduction measure. It is also called inference measure. Inference. That is, we use the direct measure, but we supplement much more information than the direct measure gives. Suppose I come to the door and see that it is locked. What I know through the senses is that the door is locked. But suppose this is not present in me. Oh, you know what I do? I take a hammer and begin to try to open the door to meet radar. But if we have this, we have the understanding that the door is locked with the first measure, and then with the second one we infer that Rodolph is not at home but he is somewhere else. But our seeing the lock does not give us the information that there is nobody in the house. You see, suppose I come inside and find the hand stick of a person there at the door. Immediately I understand that Mr. So-and-so has come, he is there inside. What I have seen is only a hand stick. But what I know is that the person is here, you are here. So, the first is direct measure. It is not enough for us to serve the purpose. The second is deduction measure. We use both. And then we do our daily things. In the market, everywhere we go, we do daily things. Suppose if a person makes a pack of some legumes or apples and he says, here are the legumes purchased. We just take them if we don't know, we have only this measure. Because he says here are legumes packed. We see the pack, we take it. But if we know this, we will understand that there is something wrong because he has packed inside and he has not shown you. So we question, where are the legumes? He says, in this. Then we use this and ask him, open it, show it to me. So everywhere we go, we use this. We go to the railway station and see the ticket clerk there, and we ask for a ticket to Liège. He gives us a ticket. According to the first measure, suppose there is no second measure, what we do? We go there, we ask him a ticket, he will give us a ticket, we take it and come home. We do not take the train. This makes us understand that the ticket is to get into the train. And then we see the panel in the train. Suppose it is written Brussels. If we do not have this, we think that the train is Brussels. But because we have this, we understand that when we sit in this train, this takes us to Brussels. We have to get down there on the platform, then only there is Brussels. So we make a trained use of these two faculties, measures, and then we do all things. Then the third one, there are three only. Measure by a vehicle. These two things are absent here. But this serves all the purpose of the two things. Now we will know it through an example. You say sugar. She says no sugar. Is there direct measure for sugar? When you are talking of sugar, you talked of sugar and she talked of sugar. There is no direct measure. I ask, is there coffee? She says, there is no coffee. We talked of coffee, but when there is no coffee, how could we talk of coffee? We made use of a substance called coffee. You see, once there is a little story in an ashram. A guru was training yoga to the disciples. There was a disciple who could not understand things, this item. Then the guru tried for 3 days to make him understand, and then he applied a practical method of teaching. Then the disciple the boy could understand. He took the guru took his pot in his bag and went to the river bank and asked the boy to go home and search for the pot and get it. The boy went home and searched for it and came and said, "Sir, the pot is not there." Then the guru asked, "Have you searched?" He said, "I have searched." "What for you have searched?" "For the pot." "When the pot is not there, how could you search the pot?" "Yes, you say it is not there. Then what for you have searched?"
What for you?
"What for you have searched?" "You want me to bring this there.
Yes.
I come here and search for it
Yes.
and tell you it is not there. Then you can ask me, when it is not there, how could you search it?"
Yes.
When it is there, you can search for it and find it. When it is not there, in the absence of a thing, how could you search for it? It should be existing somewhere.
Yes, it's true.
Where is it existing? It exists in a vehicle in your mind when it is not physically existing there. And that vehicle may be generally a word used, a name, an adjective, a noun, like that. In your mind, things exist as either nouns or adjectives. These work as vehicles for measure. So you have measures and also the vehicles of measure. So when we use the measure by vehicle, it is called the method through the vehicle, that is either utterance of a word or a sentence spoken or a sentence written through a book, etc. We deal only with words and sentences in a conversation. Every time we do not bring the articles and place it before you. Suppose when the teacher is teaching, once upon a time there was a king. He cannot bring the king and show him and there. But the student understands the story. When the teacher says, in a forest there was a tiger, he need not bring the tiger into the classroom. But we understand everything without the direct perception or the direction measure. The direction measure is used only after this is used. First we use a vehicle and then we use the direction measure, and there is no direct measure, because this is possible only to limited things. When you are here, you can apply the first item only to the things that are existing here. When you are in that room, you can't apply the first item to this room. When we are here, we can't apply them to India. But here, by reading the letter written by my son, I can apply these two things and understand what is happening there in my house and my office, etc. So it is, we are using a vehicle. Here is also the right use and wrong use. You see?
It is in close connection with the formula energy follows thought.
Pardon?
With the formula,
yes.
Energy follows thought is in very close connection with that.
Certainly. When it is rightly used,
Yes.
it is a formula for energy. When wrongly used, it is something else. So Patanjali makes us familiar with these things first, so that we may minimize the wrong use of these things and increase the right use of these things. When we wrongly use these things, suppose I speak a lie to you. I say, I have seen Shakespeare. And if it is not yourself or someone else, he may believe sometimes that I might have seen in astral plane, or in spirit writing I might have received something from Shakespeare or Milton. We know so many people believing like that. In this, in the spiritual field, people say that I receive messages from Shakespeare. Like that. Suppose I have a fine apparatus here, I write some nonsense on the paper that eating apples is not good. It is transmitted from Master Moria, I say. Then what happens? It is a wrong use of the third item. A right use of the third item gives us the knowledge of all the sciences in this world. Because we know these sciences only through books and through conversation, through teaching and through sentences. All that we have done yesterday and today is only using these two things. Because we cannot bring Patanjali here physically. And when we say meditation, if I sit in meditation, you should not have any lesson. So, we talk of meditation when we teach about meditation. If I say pranayama and say like this, the lesson will not be there. So, first we use these two things to know things in their totality. We make wrong use of those things also. Suppose we take money. What is it? It is nothing but a vehicle. The currency or the coin we use is only the vehicle of human energy applied. But if we attach the same value to the currency or coin, it is a wrong application. Then I begin to earn more money and keep it. You see? Suppose I don't know what the electric light is. You have brought me for the first time from the Amazon islands or forests. And when I see you doing this and the light is on, it's wonderful. When you are not here, I will cut it and take it away in my box and go home. No use it no more gives light. So we make a wrong application of money like that. If we keep money in a bank in our name and see, oh, I have this much, like that, that is a wrong application of measure.
Yeah.
Similarly, we make wrong application of abstract measures also. Money is a physical measure. Word is a vital measure. We have abstract measures. That is, there was a friend in India. He said, today my wife is coming by this fast express. He says, my wife. But they have divorced each other 12 years ago. He says, my wife. So, the word my wife is wrongly used as a vehicle because she is no more his wife and he is no more husband. She remained unmarried.